This episode is dedicated to an Israeli food tech startup named Exosomm, established in 2021. The company's first product is a formula for inflammatory bowel disease containing milk exosomes derived from cow milk. The first product, regulated as food, is intended for use in ulcerative colitis and Crohn patients for both maintenance and flare periods, and is aimed to reduce gut inflammation and improve the patient's quality of life. Exosomm raised up until now $1.1 million from several investors, including AG founder Colitis, which owns 60% of the hospitals in Israel, and Tnuva, a key player in the Israeli dairy market. They are now looking to raise a bridge round of $1 million to achieve their 2024 milestones. If you're an investor interested in new investment opportunities in the food tech space, this podcast is for you. Hi, my name is Adiri Zansky-Nir. Welcome to the Healthcare Stage, the go-to podcast for innovators dedicated to enhancing health and wellness globally. In each episode, we dive into insightful conversations with those at the forefront of healthcare innovation. It is my absolute pleasure to host here today Neta G, the CEO of Exosomm. Neta is a food engineer managing technological teams for more than 25 years. She worked 14 years in Materna, the leading infant cow milk formula in Israel, was VP R&D at Materna, which was sold at some stage to Nestle, where she served as the CTO of one of Nestle's business unit. At Nestle, she also was involved in business aspects of innovative food tech projects. In the last 3 years, she is the co-founder and CEO of Exosomm. Hi, Neta.
Hi, that's right.
Okay.
So thanks for inviting me.
It's my pleasure. So say a word about yourself.
So you kind of summarized everything, but let's say that you were talking about my roles in the food and nutrition sectors, R&D and innovation, but maybe just juicy information that I'm also a big believer in a gender equality, and I co-established a social organization that promotes gender equality, and we're teaching women to invest in the stock exchange market. So and created a women investment club. So this is something else that I'm doing aside of my job. I did mainly.
Amazing.
Yes.
Thank you for sharing this with us. So perhaps before we dive into Exosomm, say a word about how everything is, how the company was initiated, because it's based on many years of research conducted at the Hadassah Hospital. So say a few words about this.
That's true. So yeah, the company was initiated following years of research, scientific research, as you said, in Hadassah Medical Center University in Jerusalem. In the lab of Professor Shimon Reif, Dr. Regina Golan-Gerzel, and Dr. Yafa Elbaum-Schiff, which are the co-founders of the company. So they were fascinated by the unique health properties of mother milk and wanted to understand more and how this remarkable liquid help the baby to be more immune, and what is the mechanism behind it, the scientific mechanism behind it. And they discovered that indeed in mammal milk, there are nanonutrients in high concentration that called exosomes with the cargo of microRNAs inside. And they understood after the research that their discoveries could be transformative for many medical usages. So it's not only science or only academic, but real contribute for human being. And they published their and patented their findings. And basically the startup Exosomm, with double M in the end, was incorporated based on their scientific discoveries and IP. and with the mission to address inflammatory-related diseases with exosome-based products.
Wonderful. I'll just explain our audience that exosomes are small vesicles, typically ranging from 30 to 150 nanometers in size, that are released by cells into their surrounding environment, and they can transfer their content from one cell to another. This is why they're considered key players in cell-cell communication. And for our audience, which has no biological background, I would say that perhaps the best analogy is to think about a ship bearing cargo that is transferred from one country to another country, to a nearby country. And this cargo influences the recipient country, it influences the communication between the countries, and it influences the surrounding area. So what is special about your exosomes?
I like the analogy. I will use it. Yeah, the idea is that in our case, in the milk exosome, so the mother is one country that generate the exosomes, the ships, and transfer them into the baby, which is the other country,
right?
And through the breast milk. So in order to influence the baby health. So inside the exosome, if you like the ship, there are cargo, which are the short chains RNA, microRNA, that when they are received by the baby cells, they make them perform better and in the end improve the baby immunity. The microRNA, which is the cargo in the ship, so there are non-coding short chains of RNA. They are controlling the gene expression process, again, in the baby cells. Again, if you want analogy, I like that. So we can look at it like little traffic lights that are looking at the gene expression process of the self, of the recipient, of the baby cells, and make sure they are functioning well. So stopping the bad processes and promoting the good processes.
Right.
And so basically, and again, we can say that the exosomes and the milk exosomes are kind of a gift that mother gives to her baby through the breastfeeding to protect his health and make it more immune. And what is amazing here, that different mammals, and this is one of the discoveries that our co-founders found, that different mammals have the same mechanism. In the end, all mothers, whether it's human, cow, or sheep, want to protect and make the offspring healthier. And we indeed found that there are common features between the milk-derived exosomes that coming from different mammals' milk. The 90% similarities in the cargo, in the microRNA inside. And also they are giving, have this, the same efficacy, the same action. They are doing the same. And the cargo, which is the microRNA, alone is very, very sensitive to degradation. But this unique structure of the exosome, if you'd like the sheep, is protecting them so they stay intact throughout the digestion system, which is very harsh. And the exosomes they are kind of a natural delivery system of those incredible component, the microRNA. And the first cells in the body of the baby that received and collect the receive the milk exosome and influenced by it is the intestinal cell, the stomach, of course. And this is why we started our product, our first product, to condition of inflammation in the gut inflammation or inflammatory bowel diseases, because we saw that from our research that the microRNA that in milk exosomes have anti-inflammatory activity, and we know that in Crohn and colitis diseases there is a severe inflammation in the gut, in the digestion system. So we decided this will be our first indication and treatment.
Makes sense. And you have beautiful papers at your website discussing the different mechanism by which you were able to show the curative effect of these exosomes in preclinical studies with animal models with colitis. Can you say a word about these unique mechanisms that
The mechanism. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what is unique here is the mechanism is very holistic approach. Not one mechanism of action. It's very holistic and several complementary actions. The first one is that the milk exosome decreasing the level of pro-inflammatory cytokines like TNF alpha. By the way, this is the same mechanism like drugs that today used for Crohn and colitis are having the same mechanism, blocking the TNF alpha. So this is one thing, but not only that. Also, we see that the cargo inside of the exosomes contain also TGF beta. TGF beta is a good cytokine. Good cytokine, it means that it's helping the body to control the inflammation and reducing inflammation. So it's not only blocking a pro-inflammatory cytokine, it's also increasing the anti-inflammatory cytokines, a good cytokines.
Like upregulation.
Exactly, and by that, it's also controlling and preventing a side effect. Key 2, if there is not enough inflammation in the body, so the body subjected to other inflammation and infection. So this is kind of controlling and balancing the inflammation in the body, which is very important. Another mechanism is we saw that significantly that the milk exosome is increasing cell proliferation. And why it's important? Because in Crohn and colitis patients, part of the problem because of the gut is very inflamed, it's damaged, and there is a problem of leaky gut issues. It's really the tissue is so fragile, and this proliferation helping the tissue, the inflamed tissue, to repair itself. So this is another mechanism, and the fourth one, which is also very holistic and indirect, is that milk exosomes have a beneficial effect on the gut microbiome. So it's restoring a healthy microbiome population. When there is an inflammation, there is a change in the microbiome population in our stomach. And it's helping to restoring the healthy population, which is again indirect mechanism. And all the four of them helping the patients with the gut inflammation to recover faster and to prolong the remission period. And we demonstrated those improvements in a mice model, when the mice got an induced colitis, chemical colitis, and after they ate the milk exosome, we saw a dramatic reduction in the inflammation. And it is amazing because we saw it that this reduction of inflammation, around 90% reduction, was in the same levels like the drugs that today are used for Crohn and colitis, in the same level when the drugs were in the same level, in the preclinical stage. So it's really equivalent.
That's amazing. Yeah. And I definitely recommend people interested in your company to go into your website and read these papers. Also, there are papers about additional indications. Indications that have nothing to do with IBD. What are these indications?
So yeah, the action of exosome, the milk exosome, helping with the balancing inflammatory processes. And we know that there are many other conditions and indications that are caused by inflammatory processes in the cell. For example, type 2 diabetes. It's also started because of inflammatory in the cells, in this case, in the pancreas cells. And we demonstrated that in other indication, also milk exosome improving the inflammation and improving the situation. For example, as I say, in the type 2 diabetes and other indication as well, liver fibrosis also, and other. And this is why our vision is build a platform of exosome-based products that having ingredients for medical foods and nutraceuticals for several indication, and also for different ages, from infant to elderly, because we know that this is a new bioactive nutrient that can really help people to prevent diseases that related to inflammation and treat when they have the inflammation.
Very nice. The potential is huge.
Huge.
So how are you protecting all these beautiful ideas? Say a word about your IP.
IP. Yeah, so first of all, our founders, when they found their discoveries, they patented them. We have already 2 patent families. In the first family, already granted patent in the US, which is a great achievement. And the patents connecting between unique biomarkers in the milk exosomes, which is very important. It's a unique biomarkers. You cannot find milk exosome without those biomarkers.
Mm-hmm.
And connecting them to the health benefits. And also the patents, of course, is also talking about the production process. So it's the 3 holy angles of the biomarkers, the benefits, and how to do it, the production process.
Okay, so in order to treat the patients with milk-derived exosome, you needed to extract these exosomes from cow milk, right?
That's right.
Say a few words about the extraction methodology and the characteristics of the final product.
Okay, so I will say that we started our research from mother milk, okay? But it's only an inspiration. The mother milk is only inspiration because it's not really can be a commercial scalable, okay?
Yeah.
And we were looking for exosome that have the same efficacy and the same action, but from different source. And as I said before, we found that different mammals have similar exosome with a similar composition, and we demonstrated that there are similar attributes and similar efficacy also. And this is why we started to look on the cow milk, on the bovine milk. Mm-hmm. One of the things that we did, that we checked the milk in the supermarket, the commercial milk and milk and dairy product, to see if they're having exosome, milk exosome inside. And unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you see that, we found that dairy product that we today consume in our diet do not contain a bioactive exosomes. And we estimated that most of the milk industrial processes destroy them. So what we did, that we designed a unique method of extracting exosome from cow milk, pasteurized cow milk. And this is part of our processes, our patented processes and our trade secrets. And our technology is gentle and natural. It's very important to say it's very natural. We are not changing the natural composition of the milk exosomes. And maybe what is also nice about our extraction protocol of the exosome, that we not consume more milk that needed, more cow milk that needed. We are using a byproduct of the cheese production process, the cheese water or the whey water. And since we are using a byproduct, so first of all, we have a decreased price, and our production process is more efficient, and our P&L is better. And also, it's environmentally friendly because we are valorizing industry waste into a new product in a medical food in that case. And our product is a powder, and we've proven its bioactivity. And also because if it is a powder, it's having a long shelf life. and it's easy to consume. Our potential patient will just stir it with water and can eat it, drink it very easily. So this
you
is
guys,
the product.
Yeah, it's so it sounds great. The fact that you're using a byproduct of the cheese industry is amazing, because that means that the raw material is relatively affordable.
Exactly.
Yeah, amazing. And so, and
you rarely see a food tech startup that have profitable process and patents, and also, which I didn't talk about that yet, a factory to produce the product.
Yeah, this is exactly what I wanted to say, because you guys partnered with the Tnuva, which is a key player in the dairy market here in Israel. And you're actually scaling up the production process in their facility.
Exactly.
So, yeah, say a word about this.
So yeah, so we have as I say, we have a strategic partnership with Ba'emek Tech, which is a part of Tnuva Group. And after we generated a protocol of extracting the exosome from cow milk, so we partnered them, and together with them, we are scaling up the process. Just to say that Ba'emek Tech specialized in production of whey-derived products. So this is exactly their
expertise. Yeah,
exactly. They are suppliers of functional blends, pharmaceutical lactose, whey proteins for infant formula, by the way. This is how I met them. And they have all the accreditation for ISO, GMP, and so on. And this strategic partnership includes joint development. This is what we are doing now. We are doing the scale up of the process from lab quantity that we already proved, but now we are doing it in a facility, a commercial facility, with the equipment that can be produced tons. And this collaboration grants us exactly access to the fully equipped factory. We don't need to build a factory by ourselves, which costs hundreds of millions of dollars, and give us the enhancing our commercial abilities and the time to market.
And commercially,
and by the way, another thing, this collaboration also give us our first clients, because we have also commercial agreement with them.
So you have 2 agreements with them.
Three.
Three.
Joint development agreement,
yeah,
manufacturing agreement, and commercial agreement as a consumer, so as a customer, so they can sell our product to their product, but only in Israel. It's important to say. It's only the geography only.
So you're interested in partnering with larger players in other territories, naturally. Okay.
Exactly. So
well.
We are set. We have a check in Israel, but Israel is small, important but small.
Yeah.
And we are looking for partners in all over the globe, in the US, in Europe, in Asia. Yeah.
Okay. So let's say a word about the regulatory route, because this is a food route. It's not a drug route.
You're right. Yeah. So it's true. People ask me sometimes, do you need FDA? So I say yes, but it's the F of the FDA, not the D of the FDA. It's the food part, not the drug part.
Yeah.
So yeah. So first of all, our product is already considered, since it is a food and coming from food and a food production, it's regulated as food, and we already have a regulatory approval. Just important to say that food need only to be safe. This is the basic of the regulation requirement, and we already have it. We have self-affirm grass. Grass is the general recognized as safe, if you are not familiar with the terms.
And it's all based on preclinical work.
Exactly, and this is all you need in order to obtain grass. But we're not stopping here. We are planning our next regulatory approval called notification as a new nutritional ingredient. This is not self-affirmed, it's notification that you are submitted a dossier with all the information and get kind of approval. And we know that this is important for our customer in the future. And I'm talking now only on the FDA, but the same we are planning also to pursue regulatory submission in Europe and in the several countries in Asia also. But also all the time, remember, it's not like drugs. We don't need clinical trials in human, because I guess we will talk about clinical in a minute.
Yeah.
So we don't need the clinical trials for the regulatory approval. We are doing it for different purposes, but for the approval, we need only preclinical, and some of them we already have, and we are pursuing to deepen them.
So regulatory-wise, you can enter the market tomorrow, but you understand that in order to receive the medical community adoption, you need to generate clinical data, specifically in IBD. And you guys are currently conducting a safety study, and during 2024, you intend to conduct an efficacy study in IBD patients. So say a few words about your clinical development plan for 2024.
Yeah, so exactly, as you said, we decided to perform a clinical evaluation, a thorough one, because we want to show confirmation of efficacy. We know that the medical community, their adoption and recommendation is built on human clinical validation. You know, I've been so many years in the food industry, me and other colleagues in Exosomes, and we see many food supplements that not really have scientific background and not really have clinical validation, and this is not the place we want to be. Yeah. So we thought that it's pivotal to get this medical community consent, let's say, or adoption, and we know that to do that we need to do a clinical trial according all to the rules and the regulatory. And also we know that to gain multinational food companies as a customer, which is this our business
strategy.
Yeah. So we need the same. They want to see a clinical validation. So as you say, we currently run the first one, first in human, in Israel, in Hadassah Hospital, with healthy volunteers. The purpose of this studies is mainly to assess the tolerability of the product and how they influence a healthy body first, before we are starting IBD patients. Crohn colitis are very severe patients. We want to see what is the influence, first of all, in the healthy body.
Right.
Not that we are concerned about the safety, but we still want to see what is the influence. And then when we are giving the product to the next clinical trial, we want to give it to IBD patients, inflammatory bowel diseases patient. And in this study, we want to demonstrate how our product is reducing the inflammation. So the first one, we will start with patient with active inflammation, active flare. And we want to see that the what's called a primary endpoint will be a reduction of the inflammation score, which is something that doctors are usually measuring. This is part of the measurement of the disease. We are starting the clinical trials in Israel, but we are looking for other sites for the next trials in Europe and in the US. So we are looking for partners in this to do all those clinical plans.
So very dramatic and challenging year ahead, right? Safety studies, and then first study in IBD patients experiencing flare. So you're going to have lots of interesting results by the end of the year.
Yeah. This is nice. The plan. There we are.
Very exciting
to do that.
Very exciting.
And again, remember, we are coming. Our route is coming from the clinic, from the clinical, from the hospital. This is we are initiated from hospital. So this is our point of view.
Yeah. Exactly. So Assuming all these clinical studies are successful, how do you intend to position yourself? Because these patients are treated with biologicals, they're treated with steroids, they are treated with medical food. Where do you position yourself within this map?
Yeah. So first of all, you say those are the alternatives or the treatment that today are available for the IBD patients. They're either pharmaceutical, pharmacological treatment, like biological drugs, steroids, but those treatments have many side effects, and unfortunately have around 30% of patients not responding to them. And patients, we see that many patients, I think it's around 50% of patients need surgical intervention during their life. And so this is the limitation of the pharmacological treatment. And the nutritional treatment today are available. Again, they are mainly supplying nutritional deficiencies, but they are not addressing the inflammation per se, okay, directly. And also they require a diet, which is very difficult to stick for long term. And what we say that our product will be part of their diet routine. So they can administrate it, first of all, in parallel to the diet that they have, or parallel to any pharmaceutical treatment they receive, kind of an add-on that make anything that they're doing today more efficient and prolonging, and again, without any side effect, because it's natural.
Sounds magical. What are the basic assumptions you undertake when you assess the sales volume of your market?
So first of all, when we look at Crohn colitis, the IBD, we know that the onset is around 20 years in average. By the way, it's getting lower and lower each year. Again, in average, after diagnosed, you have around 12 weeks of flare, active acute flare inflammation, and around 40 weeks, again, in average, that there is a remission, because there is a flare and remission during the year. And we are planning two dosage. One is a dose for acute flare, which is two dosage of the product per day, which will be cost around $50 per week. And during the remission period, which are longer, a one dose per day, which is a cost about $25 per week. So if you are looking on the overall, the value per year per patient is around $1,600. And now
this is the expense per patient per year.
For patient, exactly. Right. Spend for patient. And now, if you are double it with the 10 million patients worldwide that are diagnosed, and we know that they are looking for natural alternatives, and if we're looking with something that will prolong their remission and make them feel healthier with the natural product. So, and we know that this 10 million patients is a number that also increased by 1.5% every year, because there are much more diagnosed patients every year that are adding to this calculation. So this is the overall. And also when you are comparing our product versus other alternatives and their costs, you see that still we are very relevant, because if you are looking at the medical food cost today for a year is around 2.5 thousand, okay, dollar per year, and the biologics it's much more expensive. It's around 18,000 per year. So the cost also here are it's also worth from the health care and the health system to go to choose solutions which are much cost less. And for us, of course, the potential here is huge when you are duplicated the numbers.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about the business strategy of the company.
In the previous answer, I looked at the scenario from one patient, okay, from the standalone, but we are planning on a B2B, business to business market strategy. And why? Because we see that the medical food space have few worldwide players with a very strong brands like Nestle, Abbott, Danone. And based on similar cases, we did a check, we believe that they would like to add our patented ingredient to their branded product to leverage their health position and increase their value proposition and competitive advantage of their branded product. And therefore, we plan on collaborate with strategic partners, what called B2B model, with our so our customer will be responsible for the marketing and distribution of the product, and we will focus on our core capability of building the innovation portfolio and other indication and deepening the scientific world and scientific data. In the end, our vision is to create a wide platform of exosome-based product. As we said, we're starting from Crohn and colitis, but to expand to other indication. And according to the plan, we're going to start generate revenue from 2025.
Okay, so up until now, you guys raised $1.1 million, and now you wish to raise an additional $1 million. Where will that get you?
With the additional of $1 million that we are raising now in a bridge round, we planning to achieve the clinical validation, the first clinical validation in IBD patients. We started already, as I said, with the healthy volunteers, but we want to achieve the goal of having efficacy of clinical validation in IBD patient.
Mm-hmm.
We will start, as I said again, we started we will start it in Hadassah in Jerusalem in the hospital, and we want to expand to other sites also in the US and the European, but to make it multi-sites. But we start first of all, the plan and the budget is for one big clinical trial in Israel, and we want to increase our production capacity also. As I said, now we have only capacity for the clinical trial production, but we want to have a commercial capacity. So around 1 ton per day will be enough for that. And we want to deepening our regulatory approval. As I said before, we plan to submit to the FDA a notification of a new nutritional ingredient. And those three milestone, the clinical validation in IBD patient, the increased capacity, the commercial capacity, and regulatory approval with the notification will allow us to start selling to a major global partners and customers, which this is the plan from business perspective. And when we are starting selling to them, we are starting generate revenues, since we have already a factory to produce in our, we will reach to the break-even point very quickly, because we don't need to invest in a lot in CapEx.
Let me try and kind of summarize your achievements to date. You have very compelling preclinical data, okay? You have short and very clear regulatory route, generated 2 patents, okay?
One already granted.
One granted, generated a bioactive ingredient with a shelf life of a year, okay?
Around it, yeah.
You know how to do the scale up. You have a manufacturing facility that is more than happy to do this for you, right? You have
with the capacity for at least for the 3rd year from starting selling, yeah.
Nice. You have a production profitable process, okay? And most importantly, it's a natural product, and people are seeking non-pharmaceutical solutions, right? And this is very impressive, I must say, because you gained this in a relatively short period of time. Let me ask you about your disadvantages, okay, about your risks, and how you plan to mitigate them.
Okay, so one of the disadvantages, for example, is our first product is not suitable for people that suffering from milk allergies. This is something that been asked, and it's honest to say that if somebody having a milk allergy, he cannot take the product now. In the future, we will design a product that also suitable for people with milk allergies, but the first one is not. So first of all, to say that and get a lot of this question, so I'm saying it up front. The main risk I think that's still ahead of us is the present of the validation in the IBD patient. That's as you know, the proof is in the pudding. We have all the scientific evidence to believe that the clinical trial will prove efficacy. We also had encouraging interest from multinational food companies already. So, you know, this is the reason why we are planning the first pilot study in IBD patients, and we can adjust the administration dosage during the maintenance and the flare. This is part of the, let's say, contingency or the mitigation plan. That this is why we are planning first kind of a pilot study in the clinical trial, and then the big study.
One of your advantages is the fact that you don't, you already have regulatory approval. You don't need to conduct all these studies in order to get regulatory approval, which means that in essence, tomorrow morning, you can take your powder and collaborate with key opinion leaders, with the gastroenterologists, and let them get some hands-on experience with your solution, with your product. So you can gain insight into the efficacy of this product very, very soon, and with, I would say, very low budget.
Exactly, and we're looking for collaboration with clinics that want to do investigator-initiated studies when we have the product to give them. Again, it will be after a initial pilot, a clinical study pilot, but yeah, we can start very soon. We don't have a barrier of starting.
Thank you so much for sharing this important data with us. I hope this podcast will help you guys in your wonderful, important journey. For audience interested in learning more about preclinical work demonstrating the anti-inflammatory activity of cow milk-derived exosomes, I recommend visiting Exosomm website. This podcast is available on my LinkedIn page called The Healthcare Stage, and also on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. If you are working at companies developing novel solutions aimed at improving the lives of others, or you are a researcher in hospital or academia conducting groundbreaking research with potential clinical application, do get in touch with me at adi@thehealthcarestage.com. Neta, I hope Exosomm pioneering activity will enable more holistic, patient-centric solution to patients suffering from IBD. Thank you so much for coming over.
And thank you so much for hosting us and helping us. And really, it's a remarkable activity that you are doing. And thank you.
Thanks.